He talks there about people flinching in the face of evil as they have killed tens of thousands of innocent children. No, I think these countries are aware of what evil is and what it looks like, the acts that it's perpetuating and the lies that it tells to try to ward off the culpability for the acts that they've committed. The fact that there has been some international solidarity with Palestine is not an indictment of those countries. It's an indictment of everyone who hasn't yet joined it, including the country that unfortunately we are broadcasting from for this show.
The Assembly will hear an address by His Excellency Benjamin Netanyahu, Prime Minister of the State of Israel. Please order in the hall. Please order in the hall. Please order in the hall.
I honestly don't know what that guy's complaining about. There was order in the hall. They formed an orderly line as 100 diplomats representing over 50 countries walked on out of there. They weren't pushing, they weren't shoving. It wasn't a crowd. They were like, no, I'm not listening to this. Peace out. And then they filed out of the room. And so many in the assembly didn't end up hearing it because most were out. They weren't interested in hearing what Benjamin Netanyahu had to say. But some people in Gaza did hear it because the Israeli intelligence broadcasted into Gaza on loudspeakers placed along the border and even live streamed it to hacked cell phones so that Hamas or the hostages could listen to it. See, they can get a propaganda speech into Gaza. Food is just so much more difficult. I mean, who can figure that? How do you get food over a wall? It's too difficult. Everybody back off of them. But getting to the actual content of the speech, he did what I think most people were expecting he would do in an address like this, making clear that the war is not done anytime soon. Take a look.
We're not done yet. The final elements, the final remnants of Hamas are holed up in Gaza City. They vow to repeat the atrocities of October 7th again and again and again, no matter how diminished their forces. That is why Israel must finish the job. That is why we want to do so as fast as possible.
Yeah, I believe him in some of that they want to finish the job. I disagree about whether he'll correctly identify what that job is that he's trying to finish, but nobody's surprised that he's saying the war is going to continue. Of course the war is going to continue. It's going to continue as long as there's a man, woman, or child of Palestinian descent still alive in the world. As long as there's an inch of Gaza that isn't prepped to be bulldozed and turned into a resort, clearly the war is going to continue. He'd word it differently. He's got better PR consultants than I do. But I think most people at this point understand what the point of all of this is, what the point of these speeches are, what the point of the war is. And bear in mind the context for this is that more and more countries represented in the UN have now voted to acknowledge a Palestinian state and are being very critical of Israel for the war crimes they're committing on a daily basis. And Netanyahu also fit in time to complain about that.
Many world leaders buckled. They buckled under the pressure of a biased media, radical Islamist constituencies, and anti-Semitic mobs. There's a familiar saying, when the going gets tough, the tough get going. Well, for many countries here, when the going got tough, you caved. As we fight the terrorists who murdered many of your citizens, you are fighting us. This is not an indictment of Israel. It's an indictment of you. It's an indictment of weak-kneed leaders who appease evil rather than support a nation whose brave soldiers guard you from the barbarians at the gate. They're already penetrating your gates.
Yep, the remaining fragments of Palestinian society are the barbarians at the gates. Any day now, Canada will be invaded by the 2nd Infantry of Palestinians busting down the door. He talks there about people flinching in the face of evil as they have killed tens of thousands of innocent children. No, I think these countries are aware of what evil is and what it looks like, the acts that it's perpetuating and the lies that it tells to try to ward off the culpability for the acts that they've committed. The fact that there has been some international solidarity with Palestine is not an indictment of those countries. It's an indictment of everyone who hasn't yet joined it, including the country that unfortunately we are broadcasting from for this show. We have more, but I'm gonna jump to you, Ramesh. What do you make of this?
Well, look, it's strikingly similar, right? Netanyahu's speech to Trump's, right? It's two countries that are now incredible that one of them is ours, that are isolating themselves from the rest of the world and endorsing, wholeheartedly. We're not just endorsing, we're funding and supporting it fully. We're the only reason it's continuing. An insane genocide that it should never occur. Like we should never have mass genocides on this planet, And I know it's not the only genocide that's occurred, including in recent years, but it's berating the UN, which is basically, and it's the same thing Trump did, right? Basically telling the rest of the world, you guys suck, and we are not with you anymore. So what's going to happen, right? And just this key point, can't say it enough. The only reason this is continuing to happen is because of the United States. Okay, it's great that a number of countries supported the idea, or announced recognition of a Palestinian state. But that's not enough, right? If you look at what happened during the South African apartheid state, and by the way, it's remarkable how South African leaders are a huge part. They're on the flotilla as well. Mandela's grandson is on that flotilla, heading to Gaza. That it's if you look at that state, what crippled it were economic sanctions and boycott and divestment, right? In this country, if we support or engage at all with boycott and divestment, we could be imprisoned. It would be considered illegal. It would be considered anti-Semitic, even though it has nothing to do with Judaism. In fact, many Jews, many of the people who support this are Jewish. This process. So I just want to say, this is the actions of the IDF are eerily similar to the actions of ICE. They're both paramilitaries that kidnap and murder people. Now we're seeing. And just think about the parallels also about the ideas of relocating Palestinian peoples to some third state where they'll basically be a refugee population, marginalized population, and how similar that is to what ICE is doing with people it's detaining here in LA and elsewhere and trying to push them out to random places in the world that have nothing to do with where they're from, such as Sudan, South Sudan, Libya, etc. So yeah, it comes down to that, right? It comes down to kind of kidnapping paramilitary, or actually just standing up for people not being murdered.
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie, it's kind of tough for me to stomach any of this guy's public remarks, because rarely does he do anything but lie and spew just hateful propaganda. It's tough. And the thing that kills me is that the bile he's able to spew is he's only capable of doing this because of they're being buttressed by the American government. They say it all the time in Israeli media. In the Knesset, it's like we could not do any of this without America's backing. They couldn't do this on their own. And so to know that our leaders have the power to put this genocide to an end and they don't, it just kind of kills me. Like, even just watching that clip, he's like, oh, they say every day they want to do another October 7th. And I'm just like, man, we've all seen the videos and pictures of what you guys have done in Gaza. And you mean to tell me that these people are just as capable now of perpetuating what they did on that atrocity on October 7th as they are today? That's a complete failure. That's an indictment of the strategy. Like, what are we doing if that's the case? Which we know it's not. Is the security of Israel is not under threat by Hamas. What happened on October 7th was a security breach. Like they kind of were sleeping at the wheel, and it allowed for these militants to come in and do an atrocity, and it was horrible. But for us to sit here and believe that they're just as much in danger right now today, is you got to be an idiot to believe that. And just his finger wagging, and the sort of bravado that he speaks with, it kind of makes me sick. I'm not gonna lie.
Yeah, no, 100%. And also the idea that like, okay, so is it likely the case that there's somebody in Hamas that wishes they could do on October 7th every day? Probably. You know why he's telling you that? So that you will use that hypothetical to ignore the October 7th that they do every week. Not hypothetical, that they do. I mean, they've done what? 1, 2, 3 October 7ths of civilians just waiting for food in lines, let alone all the others. And it was tragic. You know what else is tragic? Dropping a building on families, blowing kids apart, setting them on fire. IDF snipers blowing their heads off, blowing their bodies in half, targeting the kids. 82% of those who have died have been civilians. Those are not hypotheticals. Those have happened every day for a couple years now. And Netanyahu is doing his little propaganda tour so that you will shut the hell up and let them keep doing it. So that they can kill the next 100 civilians, the next 1,000 civilians, the next 10,000 civilians, and you'll just shut up about it. And they will gradually corral the rest of the population of Gaza down into the extreme south so that they can be packed up and shipped off. So that the few who haven't been murdered by the Israeli government will have the land stolen from them, but they'll be sent to slums around the world, and that'll be it. Their society will be gone, their land will be stolen, their civilization will be ended. Everybody shut up because of hypotheticals and just let them do an ethnic cleansing, okay? Because some deranged terrorist who imagines insanely that they could ever do anything to Israel, he might want that. So you should just let the worst war crimes on the face of the earth go forward. And not only should you shut up about it, but you should keep paying your taxes so that money could be sent to Israel, the weapons can be sent to Israel so that we can help to perpetuate those war crimes on a daily basis. That is what the point of the speech was. And I apologize for going on a long time. I know our audience has heard so much about this already.
It's just for me, honestly, when I hear these guys speak in public, let's just, like, if we carried their logic down the road, right? Like, let's just say one of the groups that Israel has declared their mortal enemy, right? Like, okay, our enemy are Hamas. Our enemy are the Houthis in Yemen. Our enemy are Hezbollah. Our enemy are the Iranian nation, right? Let's just say they carried out a strike, okay? That killed hundreds of people, 82% of which were Israeli. The world over, US media, everybody would be like, this is a tragedy. This cannot happen again. We need to, it's all hands on deck to make sure this never goes on again. In fact, we need to treat that country like a pariah nation. They're done. Much less they continuously carried out these attacks over time. And tens of thousands of Israeli children were killed by the Iranian military in what they deemed to be a war. 82% casualty rate. Everybody would condemn this. Everybody would, and rightfully so, would be like, this is some of the most horrible stuff we've ever seen perpetuated in our lives. And yet this guy gets to go with the UN and pretend that he's fighting this just war against this ragtag group of pea shooter having dudes in Palestine. It's just, it's crazy to me.
Two other quick things, right? Like, one is a little ray of hope is I feel like the vast majority of people around the world, perhaps the vast majority of governments around the world, are against this at this point. They know are at an enough is enough point. I hope the vast majority of Israelis are as well. I'm not sure. I know they've had lots of protests, but just think about that, right? The vast majority of people are against this. Yet this occurs because of just a few interlinked forces that have such deep amounts of power. And the only other thing I just wanted to add is it's incredible the parallels between this and 9/11, 2001, right? It's just everybody just think about the parallels of this and ask if you want this to occur again and again and again in our world, and whether we can end this time. And just the last thing is, I just think it's really we have to think about how to shift power and how to transform and change this power, because it's not just the aid, John, to the Israeli government. It's our military contractors, including our technology companies, that are taking windfalls off of our taxpayer money, that is funding these companies to basically be complicit in mass genocide and surveillance, by the way.
Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows. Every time you ring the bell below, an angel gets his wings. Totally not true, but it does keep you updated on our live shows.